to the original proposals
Yes.
and, and just, I guess, I don't know if we need to take a new vote, and just my, if others feel the same way,
John?
Yeah, I think I said at the last meeting, but people couldn't hear me. I was willing to do anything to get out of this hole we're in. I would withdraw my resolution, or not, what do you call it, motion, if that helps.
That sounds
I
good.
agree with Steve.
What do you
Yeah, I
think? Yeah.
one suggestion I would make in light of that is, there was an addition that was submitted by Jan.
Right.
Basically, instead of, basically striking out a paper ballot requirement and instead having virtual, electronic elections via voice vote.
Right.
I think if we just did that, then we would be covered. We could just have elections as soon as we want.
Correct.
And I feel like our current bylaws will cover us for everything else. Like, we don't need to do approve Trina's proposal either.
Right.
I feel like that one addition, basically, I feel that says, strikes paper ballots, and we have electronic elections via voice vote. The caveat to that is, next year, if we're meeting in person, I'll have to update the bylaws again to revert back to paper ballots.
Oh, yeah. So
Because the way it's written, it just says it's a requirement that we have electronic voting.
okay.
We're meeting in
But
person.
why can't we say that each year we can declare what way we want to do our voting, whether it's electronic or paper ballot or some other form? I mean, Marty, you're the lawyer here.
Yeah, Marty.
You're muted, Marty.
Marty.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
That we're only the committee, and we have to make these recommendations to the board, and then they have to go to the borough president to get that approved.
Right.
We've been through this before, where it's totally stupid, chaotic, and then we went through a whole thing one time, and then the borough president's lawyer rejected it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very problematic. The other thing is that in terms of the current bylaws, they currently state when the elections are, June, and we have to we have to obviously make a change to that, because it's crazy that was in the bylaws as opposed to just be a time designated by the board or something like that. But
Right.
it's in the bylaws, so we have to make some kind of changes for this, that theoretically, in order to be compliant.
So where do we begin, Marty? Where do we start? Are we going to just change the date, the month of the elections? Let's get to agree on something. I mean,
Yeah, can I just jump in on that?
Take it out of the bylaws. I agree with him. Marty's saying take out we're going to remove from the bylaws when the elections are held, and the board itself will determine when they want to hold the elections, because that should be in an operating procedures list, not in bylaws. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
It has to say that they have elections once a year or something like that, because otherwise the board can just make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and we have to have terms. We have terms.
And a timely basis with a certain amount of notice, we have to say.
Yeah, but it coincides with the terms, because the terms run from July 1st to June 30th.
right.
So what I was going to say is our current bylaws, it has a vacancy clause. If there's an interim.
I hate to interject here.
Yeah.
But the task was to review the existing report. If you make any changes, you cannot bring them up. They have to be written to the chair of the board and then referred back to the committee. So the task is to review the report that you have and then make your recommendation. So that's the task that is at hand right now. It's not discussing what should go in, because that would then be written up and have to go to the chair and referred back to the committee.
I mean, I don't understand how we're just going to submit that report or revisit it when we made a mistake.
No,
I believe, because
the question is the committee has a report.
Yes, we
Everyone
do.
who voted on the report didn't have a problem with portions of the report. Then it came into question with certain portions of the report. So, I mean, I'm suggesting, that is what you should do, is take that task at hand.
And is that the committee? Do you feel that way, committee members?
I don't have to disagree with that. I feel like we basically, we have a report in question, which
Right.
means we disagree about what transpired in the last meeting.
Right.
So, I mean, so I feel like we could almost, I wouldn't have the power to essentially, I don't want to say withdraw that report or
Yeah.
that report and then just, we already have submitted, we have 3 submitted proposals already
Right.
to reconsider those proposals in light of disagreement of what transpired at the last meeting. And then we could generate a new report.
And I agree with that because when the last meeting that was held, I think it was just a little bit haste. We didn't really get all the information. We weren't really advised, or we were ill-advised because we didn't know exactly what we were looking at. So we need to revisit it and really look at what conclusion we could come up with that is within the law, Marty. Because we don't want to do anything where the board president said we're not going to defend you. I have enough of that going around craziness about what we decide on, people not agreeing with it. So we got to get it right.
Yeah, I don't know if with Marty's, reference to the borough president, I don't know if it's really
Yeah.
comparing apples to apples, because that was dealing with removing delinquent board members.
No. He's
They
also
want us
talking
to,
about,
they want us to do due diligence, but they've already provided us the boards to either have virtual elections or to postpone, but they just have to update their bylaws, and they feel like we
No,
have
Matt,
the power
Stevie.
to update our bylaws, and we don't need the sanctioning of the borough president. I feel like,
Yeah, but
whatever we
Steve-
do is,
maybe for clarity, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I read was that they would not agree to us postponing it. That wasn't something that they would back us up on, right, Marty?
they recommended, they said, in theory, you could postpone your elections, but they recommend holding elections electronically,
But I read that
Yeah.
email, and he clearly stated he wouldn't back us up, and I don't want us to do things and continue to get ourselves in trouble. We have to be better,
Yeah, they allowed us to do both. And then there was the follow-up note from the city, that was
right?
from the borough president. They've said basically the same thing. They didn't make, express a preference for postponement versus elections now virtually, but they said you could do either one. And again, boards need to update their bylaws, if they have, time constraint. Well, they didn't say that exactly, but it just said if you need to update your bylaws accordingly, like if you have a time constraint or you have a paper ballot requirement. So basically both the borough president and the city has given boards license to do either one, either to have paper ballot, to postpone, or to have virtual elections.
Or both. But one thing that we should remember is that currently the current bylaws say the election is in June.
Right.
Mhm.
Was in June, and we've already not complied with that, obviously,
Right.
for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's in the bylaw, or the bylaws maybe should say except for exceptional reasons or something like that.
Right.
Another reasonable date or something.
Yeah, and that would require new text, but
Yeah.
let me read our existing bylaw on vacancies. Basically says special elections, in the event of an interim vacancy, a special election would be called with nominations, and then a special election to be held at the next available meeting of the full board following nominations. So I feel like theoretically, we already have text that covers, we would call interim vacancies. Technically, we have interim vacancies right now, even though the city has basically said until you hold elections, current officers can retain, they can stay, they retain their seats.
Okay.
Yep. So, Marty, do you agree that this provision covers us in that regard?
Not really, but In reality, it does. I mean, their interpretation is not necessarily consistent with our bylaws, which don't say that in terms of continuing. It should say until a vacancy is filled or until there's an election. It doesn't say that. It just says boom.
Yeah, yeah,
The terms expire in June without any
right,
modification.
right.
Yeah.
So
We're past
I guess
that,
what we're
actually.
hoping is that this is,
Probably
a
there's a spelling
one-time,
error.
yeah.
Vacancy is spelled incorrectly.
Okay, well, we'll have a meeting about that.
So
So,
Board
where
decision.
do we go from here, guys? Where do we go from here? Should we just vote, make a motion to just withdraw the report and start from fresh? Now we have an opportunity to revisit and really look at these things with a fine-tooth comb.
No, but Sonia, I don't agree that we in any way sound like that. We're not pitiful. We're saying in light of the COVID, there's been a crisis in the city, right? I mean, first of all, I think we want to get out of that report we did. We want to, in light of the COVID, we want to do two things: get rid of the minutes and the last notes of the last meeting. Then it's not appropriate given the situation.
Okay,
We want to create a change to the bylaws that allows virtual elections so that people could have an election during this time period or any time period. Is something incoherent or okay? I mean, well, you want to get rid of the report because there's no reason to spend time trying to fix that report,
right. I agree.
And secondly, is that we have to just say, because of COVID, this is what we're now going to do to deal with our democratic process.
Right. I agree.
Okay.
Anybody agree?
Well, there is a problem.
Marty.
What's the problem, Marty?
oh, you're muted, Marty.
The bylaws dictate a June election. Doesn't say what happens if you don't do it in June. It doesn't say anything like that. So which is
Well, what if someone,
something.
so what someone leaves the board for whatever reason through they move out of state or
It's vacancy.
by
Yeah.
death? Yeah, so that's the
Got it.
vacancy clause kicks in. So why wouldn't it kick
Yes.
in this situation?
Well, because nobody has resigned, nobody has left, and look, there's nothing in the bylaws that say that the term that people are gone. I guess maybe they are. Maybe you're right. Maybe because it says that the terms are only through June, and
Right.
there's all vacancies. But if there's all vacancies, then this board has no authority to vote.
Well, technically they're vacant and technically they're still in power.
Yeah.
Per the city law department, yeah, until the seat is filled, they can hold, they can remain in office. But it's also technically it's a vacant seat. So, I mean, we
But there's
could,
nothing to be said if we prepare it and open it up and maybe have an interim election and end it up in June, and then we do it from there, given what would happen. Marty?
Well, maybe what we can do is it's not authorized by the bylaws, but we make a recommendation to the board that we set up a date for an election and
Exactly.
make a recommendation for election in October or something like that.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think?
Julia entered into the
but-
room.
Hello,
But-
people.
But it's inconsistent with the bylaws. The bylaws don't authorize it.
No, it doesn't. Hello. Hi, I'm here.
Okay,
Well,
Chris, take over.
hi, Julia.
I
Yeah,
need to catch up.
I guess I'm arguing that the bylaws do, again, even
We're in the middle of a
technically,
discussion. Yeah.
technically
Julia.
all these positions are vacant.
No,
So they're allowed to stay, to remain in office until election occurs. But our bylaws say, as I just read, that if there's a vacancy, then you should have nominations, let me just bring it up again. A special election would be called with nominations and then a special election to be held at the next available meeting of the full board following nominations. So, so it's kind of up in the air when the elections occur.
I thought that was resolved at the last discussion.
Last discussion, we discussed that, and we made votes and X, Y, and Z. Now, what I'm gonna say is this, am I too loud?
The special elections is only when there's an interim vacancy. It has nothing to do with the,
Right,
it's like if someone is off the board, if someone passes away, that's when you have a special
that's a
election.
vacancy. I don't know if you guys can see me, but that's a vacancy, and no one has passed away, no one has resigned. If you remove this board, you have no functioning board, so nobody operates, neither does your
No,
committee.
no. That
So,
wasn't,
hold up, let me finish. So therefore, I don't know why you're trying to remove your board and trying to function. This committee doesn't function if you don't have a board. So right now, they are still in place, and you need them in place in order for us to change these bylaws. And I believe that was the purpose of this meeting, was to go over our last meeting of what we discussed and what was discrepancy, and to fix that. So we had already voted and made motions, and they were passed, and we are here to discuss what took place and what's the discrepancy.
and I get that, Julia, but the thing was, what I was discussing, we all discussed and we agreed upon, was how we're not getting the legal support. And the city and the board president, they were not advising us to do that, and most of the board members are not gonna go along with postponing an election. I've talked to the majority, a lot of them, and they said, no, they're not gonna be in agreeing with it, and we're just gonna be like running around in circles. If the board is not gonna agree to us postponing it, we need to come out with something viable, something that's
And
feasible.
that's the whole idea of changing the bylaws.
Yes, but now because we
can't-
had decided on a postponement, we had agreed on.
Right,
that
you
was
agreed on
limited,
that postponement.
But then, other postponement, but then what I'm saying is it's going to bring us a lot of friction. It's going to bring us a lot of problems because the majority of the board members are not with it.
Well, the majority of
it's
the board
really-
members would have to understand the fact that if you don't change the bylaws, you can't move.
I understand, but the thing is, like Steve pointed out, Steve explained it, that even though we didn't have the election, what was it you stated? That they will still have a board?
They're still
Well,
in
yeah,
place.
but I think,
It's not clear. It's not clear.
yeah,
But the
Okay.
bylaws say the election's in June. It
Yeah,
doesn't
but I
give,
think-
it doesn't qualify. We have to obviously have to
yeah,
disagree about that.
I think Marie makes a good point, you know, it's for people who are physically off the board, you know, who are off the board.
Exactly.
So going back to, in one of Trina's recommendations is basically to extend the board officer and attendance committee terms on a month-to-month basis until elections can be held.
So that would mean
which
we'd have to have meetings every month.
No,
No, it just says, we just, basically until election is held,
yeah,
people can remain, it will, you know, what can
So what
remain in
Katrina
office.
was saying basically is what Jan said. That's what I was trying to express before. Trina
Yeah.
stated the same thing Jan said. It's the same thing, that we just
the
leave the
words.
board in place until we said 2021.
No, Trina's is not saying that. Hers is saying,
I said Jan said, I didn't say Trina.
yeah, but you said they were saying the same thing. They're not.
It basically is, because if you're gonna wait month to month, by the time we get these bylaws straightened out and approved and have all the meetings that we're supposed to have, which I really don't want to have because my life is so upside down right now, it's going to take until the new year. And y'all can disagree with me if you want, but you have to have this stuff approved. We gotta come back to the table. We gotta discuss, and that's going to take a minute. Nothing happens overnight. And I said that at the last meeting, but nobody heard me because we were all talking at the same time. So we didn't really hear one another. Nobody's in disagreements that we do have to have an election, but you got to make sure these papers here are correct, that they go to the full board, and the full board has to understand that. And then it has to go to where it needs to go to come back to be approved, to say that you can move forward. It's not going to take 30 days, people, especially with this pandemic.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
not going
know
to take
gonna
8 months.
you-
It's not going to take 8 months. It might
We
take.
don't even have 8 months. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a minute. We can't agree to disagree.
Can we walk it through, Julia? Let's walk through the steps. we're
Yeah.
saying we need to add, we want to eliminate the last minutes, and not spend a whole lot of time on that because we know what we're trying to do. We're
Mhm.
trying to create a bylaws and operating procedures that people can use when there's an emergency. And we have a good intent. So if we walk through the steps, they would be that tonight we would come out with some resolution that you're saying then would have to go back to the full board, right?
Have to go to our chairwoman and full board.
Chairwoman and a full board, but she's
When
not,
it goes-
she doesn't have to sit and stall. She's the chair. We should be having a meeting in September, right?
It goes to the full board for just a recommendation. It's not that this is a final thing. You got to remember, these are recommendations. It's
To
going
who?
to go to the full board to recommend. So if it gets voted down, what do we got to do, people?
Well, yeah, that's
Go
a
back
big
to the
problem, but
table.
if we try to get a consensus, then
Yes.
there's a,
Would you-
a good opportunity for the full board to approve it. And, but also regarding, the revision approval process, we already have approvals on everything that, is before us.
Right.
All of Jan's proposals went through Dialis and all of Trina's went through Dialis. So we just decide which ones we want to approve. If we
Right.
want to approve something else, then then that's got to go through, Dialis and back to us again, So,
Right.
Should be on the agenda for September. So let's just.
Let me interject here for a second. What Stephen was saying was correct. You have a report before you that it's gone back to the committee. What you should do is go through each of the items and say, yes, yes, yes. The one you want to hold or postpone to discuss further, that's what you need to pull out of the report and say, this is a revised report. That's the task at hand now. We have to go through a process.
Why can't we just eliminate that report?
Then
Draw the report. Why can't we withdraw the report and move on to the real issue?
Yeah.
Because this is just gets bureaucratic after a while.
I agree. I feel like it
Yeah.
should be a motion to scrap the report as written and then revisit these proposals and come up with new recommendations of,
I second that motion.
Julia?
well, I'm sorry. I was looking at Robert's Rules of Order to make sure we'd be in order. Can anybody see my book?
Robert, Julia.
Huh?
Got women on here. We're not into Robert's rules.
Yeah, I'm generally not either. So rules of order. Let's drop Robert. Wow. I was just reading that too.
Julia, we're saying in light of the COVID virus and the crisis that it's created, we're withdrawing the past report and we're coming up with new recommendations based on that.
Based on
Based on the fact that this is a crisis and we don't have anything in our bylaws that allows people to make decisions during a crisis.
Right.
And we're trying to create a way, not just to have an election, but to run the board in the future too.
Yeah. I agree.
Steve?
Steve laid it out well, and I seconded it. If
Steve
we
made the motion. Do you want to state your motion again?
to withdraw the
withdraw the
committee report from the June bylaws committee meeting and to reconsider the proposals, the 3 proposals that were originally submitted. Amendment proposals.
I think that John also withdrew your proposals, John?
wait a minute. Which proposals that were resubmitted? I'm
None
really
were resubmitted, they were just submitted. That was
But John-
Jan's original proposal, her addition, and then Trina's.
the original ones or the ones that were newly submitted.
Which
'Cause I
ones were
don't have
newly
anything
submitted?
new. I don't have anything newly submitted. Hold on.
No, I didn't mention
Nothing
anything about
new.
new submissions. I'm just talking about the old ones.
Well, that's all I got is the old one. So like I'm
Yeah.
asking you, what are the newly proposals? I mean, this is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but we're only
Like I
adding
missed it.
an extra, Julia, I'm trying to add an extra sentence that says because COVID really prohibits and has made it really difficult for people.
Lost you.
John?
We lost you, Dan.
Here, I said
Oh, she's
because
back.
COVID has made it difficult for people to participate and get business done, we're creating, a bylaw change and a procedure change so that we can function during this critical time, something like that. We just want to,
I got you. So you want to add that to what you submitted the first time?
yeah,
No,
or.
she just wants to add it to my
Okay, wait a
motion.
minute. What happened?
Yeah,
She's adding it to my motion.
I'm adding it to his motion.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, this is by the order of the governor, executive order that people can't meet in large gatherings. So this is not just an emergency. Right now, it's a state that requires this COVID-19 rules and regulations. So we should have in the bylaws when something's mandated by the state or the city government that allows us this flexibility, electronic voting or etc. Because regretfully, I think COVID-19 is not going to be the first. I think there's going to be a COVID-20. So we have to think realistically about the future. Thank you.
And I think that he's got the key point here because we're saying we need in the bylaws a way to deal with emergencies that aren't going to go away with just this one.
Right.
All right, but I feel like we're jumping into the discussion that we need to have after basically withdrawing the old report. So I feel like we need to withdraw the old report. We could just say we're withdrawing it because of we can't come to agreement on what should be contained in it, and we want to reconsider the original proposals.
Yes.
I
Okay.
second that.
All right. Okay. Hold on. Before you second, hold up.
No consensus.
I understand. I think I understand what you're saying. I want to make sure I fully understand. So you want to take Jan's original request proposal? Do you want to add stuff, or do you
No,
want
no,
to
no,
wait? Let me
No,
finish. Or do you want to eliminate it altogether?
No, I'm just saying about the report, not the proposals themselves, just the report.
Just the report. Okay. So
Because
you want
that's
this whole?
what's on the agenda.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, John, Julia?
But Steve was talking. That's why I said when we all talk at the same time, we can't hear one another. Let Steve finish, then you can go, Sonia. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's just about the report. My motion is just about the report. And what we had discussed, and it seems like it became a consensus, is that we want to withdraw the report as written. And we just, because we cannot come to a consensus on the correctness of the report or the content of the report.
We have to go through a whole explanation. We can say that in light of changed circumstances,
Circumstances have changed and X,
withdraw the
Y, and Z.
report and
That's good.
reconsider.
Seriousness of what
That's
the
good.
COVID virus is bringing us. So we
Right.
keep saying that, yeah.
Just by the way, is somebody taking notes, meeting notes?
I am trying to, and we have a process. We have a motion. They have to
Okay.
clarify the
No, I'm
motion
just
because
asking
it
because
was
it was a
seconded, but there
problem with
was,
the last meeting.
I'm proposing a friendly amendment to the proposed motion that the motion be that we postpone in light of the recent circumstances, extraordinary circumstances, that we're postponing the proposed election dates till when?
That's getting into the meat of the proposals. I think it's
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
my motion is just, because that's that's what, like, the main event on the agenda is to revisit the report.
The report.
I feel like my motion is
I'm sorry.
to scrap that and then just start over. And the starting over would be this new discussion on the various,
The various proposals that were put
Proposals,
to
yeah.
us.
yeah,
Okay, so the motion is to withdraw the report and to review the proposals that are pending.
that's it.
I got
Second.
it down.
Who seconded that motion? Somebody seconded.
Jan did. Jan did.
Steve made the motion
That's
and
it.
Jan seconded.
Yeah, if Julia counts me.
Julia had to understand what y'all were proposing because I was totally lost.
But friendly amendment was, the proposed resolution was,
That's not the proposal. That wasn't what they said.
no, Steve's making the motion. The motion was to withdraw the report
Right,
as previously given in light of the changed circumstances, and to review and reconsider.
got the part.
Let's vote on that first.
Right, gonna go.
Let's vote.
So Jan, wait, we can't even vote yet. So Jan, Steve made the motion, Jan seconded. All in favor?
Do it,
Wait, I'm gonna do it one at a time, please, because we want to make sure we get everybody.
Put your
clear.
little hand up.
Steve, Jan,
we need to do a roll call.
Okay, why not that little hand over at the right-hand corner?
don't click them. Where am I going? Jan,
Yes.
thank you. Steve,
Yes,
William,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Sonia,
Yes,
abstaining, me.
I was abstaining.
Julia's abstaining. Anyone else? That's all we got.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last one.
Julia's abstaining.
Who?
Me.
Oh, I got you, Dad.
Everybody else is in favor.
Any no's?
No no's? No.
No recusals. Okay.
Okay, so that's the first
Okay,
hearing.
so that's it. We got that done. Now we're on the next thing, Steve.
okay. So we were talking about before, we feel like we're kind of bringing in a new momentum, or, a people wanting elections as soon as possible and not waiting until next year. And I feel like Jan's addition, that scraps paper ballots and requires electronic voting via voice vote on basically at the next designated meeting.
I have a question.
Mhm.
One thing that I learned in school and I learned in life and business meetings, who are people?
the board members.
Okay.
Yeah,
Board members. A lot of them already have shared a disagreement with the election not being held. So I think that we have to honor that, and that's what I was trying to get in, you
But we
have.
have not even had a open meeting to even put this out on the table.
Yeah, but they're still inquiring about.
Yeah, well, they can inquire, but that's where this should have been presented, and we
Yeah.
could have got the nays and the no's. But further, we already scratched it.
Right.
yeah,
And I'm just stating, you can't just say people when you haven't had a meeting to hear the full board say, this is not what we want. And then for this board committee to say, okay, we're scratching it, let's go with X, Y, and Z. So are we gonna start with these proposals that we have in front of us? Are we rewording them or what?
I think we're rewarding,
That's what I wanna know.
I think. So why don't we have a few minute discussion? Because I'm saying that in the bylaws, we just were stating that we still have to put in that we have an annual election and it has to be at a certain time. We talked about that before you walked in, Julia, because you have to follow the kind of the structure of the year. But we shouldn't put into the bylaws how we're going to conduct the elections, because as we're now seeing, different situations may cause us to handle it in different ways.
Different ways.
So we want to state that the elections can be determined by how the elections will be conducted, as long as they're done in an open and transparent way. The board or executive board can determine how they're done, whether it's electronic or paper or voice or whatever other way they might come up with. But we want flexibility, and then we can have, in the operating procedures, it can put how we're going to do it. We don't want to put too much into bylaws anymore. It's not good.
Well, you have a bylaws that's really not that informative to tell you basically how to move forward either in this crisis.
Right, that's what we're saying. Yeah.
You might want to put what you really, 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 really need in there to conduct business. So as I said, they may want an election right away. The election should have took place in June. We're in August.
The soonest you could have an election is that, Larry said, you would have it September, you bring up this to the full board, because you're not going to have an emergency meeting, I don't think. So it'll be in September. We know there's 1 million Jewish holidays in September.
So you're not going to have it then.
Well, we'll have it sometime then.
No, but
the
it's already,
election itself-
there's already, before the pandemic, those meetings were already calendared.
Right, they are calendared.
Yeah.
So that the election itself would take place in October as the soonest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the, Jan, we can't hear you.
You're on mute.
I'm not on mute.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
I'm not talking now.
Okay.
I'm
I saw your mouth moving, so, yeah.
I know you think I talk all the time, but I was counting.
Okay. Well, I think, you said in Trina's original proposal, one of her provisions, it basically, she adds on to the original language, which
Yeah.
says, the terms of all officers elected at the board's election meeting shall commence on July 1st of that year and expire on June 30th of the following year. However, in the event that elections cannot be held according to the schedule outlined in the bylaws and in order to provide continuity, board officer and attendance committee terms may be extended month to month until elections can be held.
That was her proposal.
Yep.
Now, didn't we vote on something like that when we just now threw out all of this?
Well, that's the thing. It was voted on, but it wasn't included in the report.
Sure it was. I combined it with what Jan said.
Yeah.
By the way, why do you have to say month to month? It could be just until the election.
That's why it was combined with what Jan said.
I know, but can
Until we hold an election.
wait, we just got rid of the report, so let's not revisit it.
Yeah.
And
You have to revisit it because we're reading the motion.
We already passed. We
we
already
already passed
took
the
it off the
motion.
table.
We got rid of the report, so now we're
We
coming.
might have gotten rid of the report, but we're reading the proposal, and the proposal basically stated what you proposed. All we did was, we didn't put month to month, because it basically says what George says, until we can hold an election. We simplified it. It wasn't that anybody was trying to take Trina's motion. We combined her motion with what you stated, so we could simplify it, and it got all twisted because folks don't understand.
So the pending
And
motion,
you're saying,
the
and we're
pending
just
motion,
saying the same thing.
Okay, so we are agreeing now. Now, what do we want to put in? Because frankly, I'm not a happy person with month to month, because I think that's a horrible way for people that, all of you that are elected to serve, to have to operate.
I agree.
And I think we've said that right now, we're trying to do it before the November election, because most of us may, if we lose the election in November, we're all leaving the country anyway. So we have-
Right.
No, I'm staying. I can't go anywhere. I don't take shots.
All right. So if we go back to that Jan's addition,
Mm-hmm.
where it basically says it strikes out, elections shall be conducted by paper ballots that are signed by each voting member. Those ballots that are not signed shall not be tabulated. And then instead, the new text would be electronic voting and held during a scheduled meeting of the board designated for elections. Each present member shall cast a vote for a declared candidate by the use of a voice vote,
Voice vote,
viva voce. So what if we just, if that was put into place, then we just have elections as soon as possible, right? And then the new officers or the incumbents, if they win, just, the executive committee carries on.
So
Yes.
Steve, are you running for position?
Huh?
I'm just asking, are you running for a position when we do conduct the election?
I don't think so, but
Oh.
I don't know. That
I
could change.
would.
That could change.
Yeah. But anyhow, that's irrelevant.
I just thought I'd ask. It's just something I'm asking
Yeah,
personally.
you're very cute.
Thank you.
So,
Okay,
so what do you think about that?
okay, let me go back to what you were saying. Section C, number 5, elections shall be conducted,
then-
electronic voting and
Yeah,
held during.
strikes out
Yes,
paper ballot and
yes,
then adds
strike all that
electronic
out.
voting.
All that striked out. It's
Yeah,
already
electronic
crossed out.
voting. So what if we just hypothetically, what if we just pass that? We'd have our bases covered.
Where are you trying to dash? I'm sorry, I'm lost. Paper
This is-
ballot?
it's- Pardon?
What are you trying to dash? Paper ballot? It's already out.
But we haven't, I'm just saying if we remove paper ballots and we pass this provision that removes paper ballot requirement and requires electronic voting, we just pass that all by itself, would we be covered?
Okay, let me read what I have in front of me. I'm not trying to throw anybody off, but I hear what you're saying, but I want to read what I have in front of me. It says elections shall be conducted by, this is Jan's proposal, electronic voting and held during a scheduled meeting on the board designated for elections. Each present member shall cast a vote for a declared candidate by the use of voice vote via voice. So the part with paper ballots that are signed by each is already eliminated out of that proposal. So why are we scratching it again if it's not in there? So we're going with the second half of it, electronic voting and held during a scheduled meeting of the board designated for election. Is that what you want to do?
Well, that's what I'm hypothetically, yeah, I think
Okay.
that, because we're saying we have the paper ballot requirement right now, and we can't do that because we can't meet in
do-
person.
right.
Right, so the electronic voting requirement would enable us to have elections, as soon as we can, virtually. And, and we wouldn't need all the postponement clauses and theoretically wouldn't need, I don't know, like, in terms of just addressing the terms of the officers, in a situation where we've gone beyond June 30th. And if, Trina's proposal covers that.
Okay, so what you're trying to hold an election when?
Well, as soon as the executive committee can schedule one.
I don't think
Also
you can
remember
do that.
that has to be approved by the borough
Exactly.
president. Those are amendments to the bylaws and have to be approved by the borough president. Blah, blah,
That's why
blah.
I keep saying it's not going to take a month, and you keep saying 2 months. With this pandemic, nothing's happening in a scheduled time that we would think it would happen. Something we think that should happen in 2 months is taking. I'm gonna give you an example. I have a sister that's away, and she writes me on a weekly basis. I know we all know about the mail. I get her letters like a month later. She's not getting my letters at all, and I write her every Sunday. 2 letters every Sunday. She's not getting my mail at all. So what I'm saying is the system is broken. So with us thinking on the top of our heads that this is going to happen in 2 months, when it's got to go to the borough president's office, they're in the middle of trying to campaign for another office. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer.
Yeah,
I personally feel that it's not going to happen in 2 months.
yeah, I don't think I don't think that's correct that the borough president has to approve our changes.
I think so.
No, I think, again, it was just with we were trying to remove delinquent members from the board.
But you're making a renewal to your bylaws.
Yeah, but I don't remember seeing
It has to go to
hearing
them.
that the borough president has to.
Yes, he does.
Marie, are you aware of that requirement?
I believe what's being referred to is the memo that we received from the borough president's office about proceeding with elections and process.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, but it said
That's
nothing
a
about the
bylaw
borough
amendment.
president approving them. It basically said it's up to the boards to change their bylaws accordingly.
We can change it and we can make an approval, but we still have to submit it.
I don't think so.
I think so.
No, I
Yeah,
think
we
it's
can't-
just
we're
with the
here-
delinquent.
we're
we're trying to get-
grown-ups. We're not letting the borough president of Brooklyn run our board. We've gone through that before. These are our bylaws, how we're operating. If we do something out of land and there's people on the board that are running to the borough president, like we're children, we're not children. We are changing the bylaws based on the COVID virus. And we're saying at the most, right now, we can bring it to the board in September and we can nominate. And I don't know if we can not bring it to the board and get approval and nominate. We couldn't. Already you got, bring it to the board in September, nominate in November and vote in October and vote in November. That's as soon as you could do it if you are.
What happened?
She's muted. And you're muted.
I was just brilliant and you didn't hear it.
No, I hate when that happens.
Well,
I said, as soon as we could do it possibly, forget the borough president, drop that, we send it in. Marty and I have been on the bylaws committee I think, Julia, for a very long time. We made many changes with the bylaws committee. It was only one area, which was this fight that we were having over people being eliminated from the board, where we ran into a problem where they reviewed our bylaws and said we didn't have something. And
Right.
then they made us go back to the table. But otherwise, we proceeded with all of our changes, didn't we, Marty?
I think that the borough president we have to go through the borough president's
You have to
office.
go.
I
Mhm.
think, I could be wrong, right? So my recollection is that you have to go through the borough president's office on
Marie,
Bylaw change?
Can we request, Marie, can we request clarification on that?
yeah, not to mention you have to go through the board, of course, the whole board.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've only been on the bylaws, I guess, 3 years, and no, but we've passed a lot of bylaws, not a lot, but,
Yes, we
enough.
did.
And again, I agree with Jan, the only situation that had to do with removing delinquent members and following due process. But everything else, we just passed through the board without the borough president.
And why have a community board if we're gonna behave?
Yeah. Well, I think regardless, I think we should just pass what we want to pass, and if the
We
borough
can submit
president
it.
needs to
Let's
approve,
not say
fine, if
let's
not,
pass. I'm gonna state this, let's not say we're passing it. It has to be submitted and voted on. So we're gonna do
That's
that
what I'm
in
saying.
September.
we should
Okay,
just,
It's a recommendation to the board as a whole. Yeah.
recommendation, exactly.
that's all right.
Right, but the board
Excuse me,
votes on it
I'm a
too.
little lost here.
What?
I
The
said, I'm a
board
little
does
lost
not
here.
wait.
You're withdrawing the report. That's what you voted on, and that's what's
Right.
supported by the committee members.
Right.
Are you talking about reintroducing that section about elections so that we can move forward at least in that portion that it's part of our bylaws?
Generally speaking generally, if whatever changes we make here, we recommend, and the board inevitably end up approving it, some of the folks here think that the borough president needs to approve whatever.
Well, I mean, besides that, because we're not sure if that's correct. Maria wants to speak, but she's not muted.
We can't hear you, Maria.
she's not muted. I don't understand.
She is muted.
Muted.
It's muted.
Are you calling me?
We can't hear you.
Who are you talking to?
Maria Vieira.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
By the way, I have to apologize. I have a meeting I have to go to. Sorry. You'll have to go on
We
without me.
couldn't hear a word you said. Text it.
Can we vote on this thing and then, and at least we're saying we're going ahead as quickly as possible, and the borough president can review and all that stuff can happen. But let's at least have something. I think we basically have agreed that we want to make this change. We put it in and that we're going for a election as soon as possible. That's what we're saying.
I agree. I mean, I don't believe that he does have to approve it, people. We have to move on.
And we're not going to meet till September anyway.
I agree. We should just plant those, whatever the recommendations are.
Sonia.
What happens?
Sonia, sorry,
Yeah.
Maria said that someone had to mute her because she's trying to talk and nobody can listen to her. This is
Nobody
Iris.
can hear her. She's not muted.
She is unmuted. She's talking, but we can't hear her.
She's not muted.
Where are you, Sonia?
Here, you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
I'm just saying that we've got to come to a conclusion with this, Marty. I don't believe that the borough president has to approve these changes.
And even if he does, we have to make the recommendations.
That's right.
So let's just agree on something, make a motion. Let's get hello, I'm a mother of two.
Okay. I'd like, make a motion to approve, we'll call Jan's addition. It's section VC 5.
Mm-hmm.
And as it's written, elections shall be conducted by, and then stricken text is paper ballots that are signed by each voting member. Those ballots that are not signed shall not be tabulated. End of stricken text. And then the new text will be electronic voting and held during a scheduled meeting of the board designated for elections. Each present member shall cast a vote for a declared candidate by the use of voice vote, parentheses, viva voce.
So
I second the motion.
Yes, and Steve made the motion.
I second it, so
call for a vote.
Sonia, you seconded?
yes.
We should always say any further discussion on the motion before we vote.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this motion? Thank you, Marty.
You're welcome.
Anybody?
I like your hair, Marty. You look very cute.
Thank you. You sound surprised.
This is
There's a-
such a cute board, I tell you.
Discussion.
That's right.
No further discussion on this.
Voice vote. Marie, call the roll call.
Roll call.
Julia Foster,
Oh, yes, I agree with them.
Wow.
Julia,
Julia says she agrees.
Wow.
I like the wording on this.
I'm sorry, what was this? What was your vote?
Call the next person. Marie. Call everybody.
Sonia Iglesias,
Yes.
Steven Tesla,
Yes.
Joel Goldstein, not present,
It's not here.
Martin Needleman,
Yes.
okay. David Needleman,
Not here.
Janice Peterson,
Yes.
William Vega.
Got a unanimous vote. Yay. Yay. Yay.
Okay.
That's the vote for the wording of what Jan submitted.
Yes. So we're more technical. Good job, Steve. Good job,
I
Jan.
apologize. I have to leave.
Okay.
Hi, Marty.
Steve
Sorry.
is always more
Can
technical.
I ask you, Marty, can I ask you one quick question?
Yes.
Do you feel like we need this other text from Trina that I recommended, that we extend the officers' terms on a month-to-month basis until election happens?
I'd say it has to be, because otherwise it says they're expired. But I think we should say not on a month-to-month basis. We should just say until the election is scheduled.
Until,
Until,
Okay, and
yes.
then that's new text that has to,
I second that motion of Steve.
There's no motion.
Just make your motion,
There's
Steve.
no motion. There's no
Why?
motion because your task was to review the report. Apparently, everything was scrapped in it except for this one portion. Any other changes that is not in this report and hasn't been proposed to the board as a bylaws change will have to be provided to the full board.
But
All
you
right, but-
understand
no,
that
but-
that was there, but it wasn't written in.
Right.
no, but Marie, I feel like, yeah, we scrapped the report, but we didn't make an exception. We're revisiting the original submitted
Proposals.
report.
Yes.
Proposals, thank you. And so that, what we just approved was Jan's addition that she submitted on May 28th.
Understood.
understood.
Okay, okay.
If we run, Marie, if we run into a problem, we run into a problem, but this is our thinking ahead, that we have to say this because already people's terms are out of office. We can't leave people hanging. So can we?
Unfortunately, our vote is not going to be effective until it goes through the board anyhow, so it will be a little bit delayed regardless.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Right.
but we can't have another, otherwise we'd have to have another meeting, Marty.
We are gonna have to have another meeting. That's what I keep telling y'all.
Yeah, because if we're revising Trina's text, then that's technically new text, and it has to go to Dialis and then back to us.
So we're gonna revise Trina's text without Trina's permission?
She's not a,
Well, someone would have to
Not on the
submit it, either
bylaw.
one of us or Trina.
I was on the committee and we accepted her paperwork. I mean, we didn't have,
Well-
to, but we did.
Well, Marie, technically, can the committee submit in unison a proposal that could go to Dialis and then back to us, or does it have to come from an individual?
As far as I understood, a proposal would have to be made to Dialis.
Okay.
Two proposals would have to be referred, so if it's an
But
individual from the committee
theoretic-
or someone
yeah.
from the board, that'll be the process.
Okay, all right, so,
I think, Steve, all is in the language. How are we gonna write it? We write it, it's all in the language. People here
This is
want-
what she proposed. The terms of all officers elected at the board's election meeting shall commence on July 1st and expire on June 30th of the following year. However, in the event that the elections cannot be held according to the schedule outlined in the bylaws, and in order to provide continually, board officers and attendance committee terms may be extended month to month until elections can be held. And I keep saying over and over and over again, we already dealt with that when we dealt with Jan's proposal. And they're stating to not deal with the month to month, just say until elections can be held.
Yes,
that's fine. We accept that.
we
Julie.
accepted
Okay, let
that,
me,
yes.
You know what? I'm out of
Okay.
here. I could have sworn that's what we said.
Can we vote on that again, or we don't have to?
Goodbye, y'all.
just gonna,
Who
yeah,
left? Our
well, we have to
chair?
vote
Who left?
I'm back.
to approve it, but then
Hold up.
it has to get submitted to Dialis for review, and then
I
it
have
has
to
to
leave
come back to us.
momentarily.
Marty,
Okay.
we understand. We still have a quorum. Bye, dear.
See ya.
No
Thanks,
sexual
Marty. Catch you
harassment.
later. Okay, so, here's the text. I made a new proposal based on Trina's old one that, you know, in the terms of all officers elected at the board's election meeting shall commence on July 1st of that year and expire on June 30th the following year. The new text, however, in the event that elections cannot be held according to the schedule outlined in the bylaws and in order to provide continuity, board officer and attendance committee terms may be, extended until elections can be held.
Yes,
Ain't that what we said 100 times?
that's what Stevens was trying to say.
Well, I just want to nail it.
Yes.
So,
it's good.
all right, so I'd like to make a motion
Oh,
Second the motion.
Stop,
Well, wait, let me make the motion.
stop.
Okay.
A motion, yeah, for this new text.
Wait a minute, Steve, before you make that motion, because Judy
Yeah.
wants to make sure she is on the right page. Hold up.
Oh, okay.
Now you're talking about Trina's proposal.
No.
Yeah, yeah, but we're essentially making
I
a
lost
new
you.
one.
Admin.
It's in
It's our own
section
proposal
C,
now.
this is section
We're adding
C9.
its points. Forget Trina and Jan. We're on a new proposal.
He's adding to what? That's where I said, let's stop. I want to know what's
Well,
going
we're
on.
amending, okay, in our original bylaws, we're amending section C9.
Eight, 9. The terms of the election of officers elected at the board's election meeting shall commence until July 1st of that year, expire on June 30th of the following year.
Yeah, and so we're adding in, we're making new text, which basically extending what's there. However, in the event that elections cannot be held according to the schedule outlined in the bylaws and in order to provide continuity, board officer and attendance committee terms may be extended until elections can be held.
Nice.
So that, I'd like to make a motion to,
Okay, so I was writing down what you said. So,
Okay.
so we're
you want,
taking out the
I can
wording
copy and
of,
paste it into the,
we're taking out wording of month to month.
Yes.
Okay, see, I gotta be on point here because I need to hear it.
well, I can copy and paste it into the chat, and you can copy and paste it into your notes or whatever.
I'm
Wanna do
good.
that?
I write, I'm handwriting with the pen.
Okay.
Okay. So
No, and I'll.
this is where I keep going, this is where I keep going back and forth with. To me, this is just basically saying what we just stated we wanted to do. So I'm trying to figure out why would we make a motion
Well,
to say what we already said the first time.
Julia,
That's where I got confused the last time because we were already stating it once, now we're stating it again.
but Julia, excuse me. It was just all about the wording. And some people just took
yeah,
offense to some of the wording and the language. We just had to rewrite it to just make it like, you know.
So we're adding this to what the other person said. That's what I want to know.
well, it's technically it's new text.
It's new text, yes.
It's a new proposal. It's a new proposal.
But this proposal saying what the old proposal said.
No, it's not. Instead of month to month, it's
Oh.
saying just extended till the next election.
You miss what I'm saying?
No, Julia, just what it said. What
Well,
I'm understanding, hold on.
What does it
Let me
matter?
say-
Whatever the original proposal said, this is what
No,
we're
no,
doing
no,
now.
no, 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 no. Hear me what I'm saying. Sonia, hold on. Hear what I'm saying. All right. What we just voted on was what we just voted on was what we put in the first one. During the scheduled meeting of the board designated for elections, each present member shall cast a vote. So in other words, until an election can be held.
Yes.
Now we're stating the same. Now we're saying in the other one is we want to extend
Well,
an
if
election until an election can be held.
terms, we're extending terms.
Okay. Can y'all see me?
No.
Oh, I'm pointing at my ears saying I didn't hear what Steve said.
Well, there's no recommendation at this point. What you're
Right.
doing is you're discussing what Steve, or whoever the lead person is gonna be, is submitting into Alice Fuller as chair of the board,
Okay,
a
so
proposed for, changes in the bylaws.
okay, see, I didn't understand what you were saying. So you want to send this to Madam Chair?
It
Yeah,
has to go to the chair. It's a
Thank
new
you.
proposal.
That's what I didn't understand. I thought this is what they wanted to present to the full board.
No.
Okay. Because I think for me, it sounds the same thing repetitively. So you want to change the wording and you want to submit this to Madam Chair.
Yes, Steve?
but I've made a motion for the board to accept this text, this committee to accept this text. And then
Send it to Madam Chair.
it's sent to Madam Chair.
Okay, I can get with that.
And I second.
I needed to understand where we was going.
I want to see you, Julia.
I'm dancing in my chair.
I want to see you, but I second that motion. Let's see what we're gonna do. Let's get the roll call.
Roll call, any more discussion on this letter? This proposed to Madam Chair? Any more discussion? Jan?
No.
Jan, you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Nobody has a discussion, William?
No,
Where's Sonia go?
I said no.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
I'm waiting for you to, I voted yes for the proposal. I second the motion. Now we're gonna do the roll call.
We're gonna, no more discussion on this item.
Right.
We're gonna go to roll call. Emery,
Julia Foster,
I agree.
Sonia Iglesias,
Yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yes,
Mr. Goldstein,
Not here,
out here.
Martin Needleman,
not here,
Rabbi Needleman,
not here.
Jen Peterson.
here.
Yes
Yes.
or no? Jen,
Jan's tired.
I think I didn't hear the thing because I got a call from my medical provider in the middle.
Uh-oh.
What am I voting yes or no on?
To propose that we sending to Madam Chair.
Want me to-
Dead, Steve.
Yeah, it's basically, instead of extending terms on a month-to-month basis, it's until the election occurs, the next
Yes,
election.
I
occurs.
agree. I accept.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
William,
Yes,
okay. Motion passes.
All right,
Hey,
okay.
Okay, so we're sending this to Madam Chair. We wait for her response.
Yeah, but I have to physically send it. Is that correct, Marie?
Yep.
Okay. I'll send
Marie,
it.
that's right.
Okay.
Wait, don't come away. Marie,
I'm here.
Steve has to send that, right?
Yeah, I'll send it as soon as we're done. So are we covered? I mean, I feel like
we're covered.
I think we're covered.
I think we're covered.
so do we need to basically, vote to, not recommend the other proposals? Jan's 5 and Trina's 3?
I thought we already did that.
I thought we did too.
You withdrew the report.
Then we
Right.
would do it.
We withdrew the report, but that doesn't mean, that means we haven't recommended or not those 8.
But the report is withdrew, so that's not going through. We just amended it. So we withdrew, so we're
I
not
thought we
going with
created
the
a new
first
one. We
report.
just created a new one.
Yes, we did create
Right,
it.
we just created one.
And Marie took notes.
Right, but those 2 proposals then are still in consideration. I feel like,
So what do we
you
do?
know,
We just
we
vote
just,
to,
we'll basically not approve, we can make motions not to approve them. And
okay,
then
so
we're
let's make
we're
the
totally
motion.
covered.
Wait a minute,
So-
don't make a motion yet.
Wait. You withdrew the report.
Thank you.
Correct.
So that has to go in the report to the full board that this report was withdrawn. Whatever
Right.
actions you took at this point, once it have to go back to the chairperson to be referred to the committee, that's what the next step is.
Yeah, but what about the original proposals? They're still in limbo.
You
Well,
have
let's
to
just
take
vote
them
it
up at a
out.
future date.
Pardon?
You have to take it up at a future date, make that part of your report.
Why
That's
can't we
right.
vote on it now? I don't understand.
We should just vote on it and just say we don't want it. That's it. We
Yeah.
just
Say we don't want it. Let's get rid of it so it doesn't come back. Right.
We just,
On here again that my vote is down.
Okay,
we just amended it and we threw out the report. We have a meeting in September that we have to state that the report we submitted last month, which didn't get read, has been thrown out. We gotta do procedural, people. We have to put it in front of the board to say the first one we threw out, and this is what we wanna do. Got it?
yeah, but we were throwing it out because we couldn't
We
agree
said
on
that.
what,
Motion, Steve, make the motion.
Wait, this
Okay.
is what I recommended, that you go through the report and take the items in one by one,
She
and
said
then it
that.
would have been resolved what Stephen is trying to bring up now.
We didn't want to do that.
And that's why we are where we are.
yeah, but we scrapped the whole thing, right? So to start from scratch.
Yeah. So let's make the motion so we can
All
get
right, well,
covered.
What are you
Well,
making
okay,
a
well,
motion on?
Motion.
If we have a proceed, no, but Maria's saying, so basically we have the two new
Right.
proposals. One's already passed, the other one has to go to Dallas and back. The first one can allow us to have elections as soon as if the board approves bylaw change, we can go into elections right after that. And then the officer terms thing can come in afterwards. Because per the city law department, they're still able to remain in office until we have elections.
Yeah, but I have nothing here.
Huh?
I don't have a proposal that you're acting on.
What happened?
No, I just feel like there's something missing here.
I agree, and I don't know what it is.
I don't know what you're voting on.
Well, so I think what you said makes sense. We have to go an extra step before we before we vote again to not recommend Trina and Jan's original proposals. The board first, our report the old report has to be included in the minutes for the full board? I mean, I don't know. Is that what you're saying?
That's what the procedure is.
You voted to withdraw the report.
Right?
It's out. It's withdrawn.
Okay.
Then you voted to keep in that one section about electronic voting, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we didn't,
Well,
we
and
didn't
we
vote to include anything. We voted new. I thought we were voting fresh.
We were.
It's completely separate in a new report, this is a separate meeting with its own report. And I thought what we just voted on, both changes will go in this new report.
Right, but there's no new proposal that has to go to Dallas and back to the full board, back to the board to consider.
There is, yes.
Right. But we were able to vote on the Jan's addition. And that's going to go to the full board, for a vote. So,
I'm going to repeat what Marie
No, wait
was
a
saying.
minute.
In the beginning, when I came in, hold on, Sonia.
Let me just
We
say,
stated, did we want to do item by item of this report?
No.
Exactly. So now you want to come at the end and say, let's do this, 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 and this with these items, when you already voted to say no. So we
earlier-
voted the full board.
well, that's what we could say.
guys,
Well, that's
guys,
what,
Julia, wait a minute.
I'm here.
Jan, at the beginning of the meeting, said she withdrew her proposal. Jan, did you say that?
Yes, I did.
Got it?
Why are we discussing Jan's proposal when she withdrew it at the beginning of the meeting?
So why are we going back?
Exactly. So Jan withdrew, remember Steve at the beginning?
yeah, she did say that.
They withdrew it, so then we're not even gonna, that's not even up for discussion.
Right.
The only issue is with Trina, it was just an amendment, things were added, things were taken away, so where we
Right.
at? I think that we're just going around in circles.
Right,
Exactly.
so basically we could report, we chose not to
Right, that's what we gotta
recommend
do.
Jan's, and we chose not to recommend Trina's, just
Now we need
Jan's.
to recommend
petition.
Jan's because Jan's withdrew hers.
Right.
She withdrew her proposal at the beginning, so that's nothing to be
And our
considered.
whole board doesn't want to hear all this. They'll go crazy. anyway.
Yeah, it's not just too much.
They wouldn't like it.
It's too
That's
much.
what we're trying to say, that we need to
All right,
pass
so
the
what do you
next.
say, what about the original stuff? You know, what are we gonna, okay, we'll say Jan withdrew hers. I just saw Trina, I think, just said that she would withdraw hers. So,
Yes, that's it.
Okay,
So then we're
Okay.
good. All we have to do is just propose what we're proposing now and let it see. We get the response back and hopefully we'll be good.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna
Um,
be good. I think it's better. It was just a language thing. It was just the wording and we just corrected that.
yeah,
Thank you, Steve. You
Okay.
did a great job.
all right. Good job, everybody.
And
Thanks. So what do we do next?
how to clean.
Jan,
Yes.
you leaving us?
No, I want to though. I really want to leave.
Do we have any other any other
Do we
business?
have any other, we have any more discussions on what we discussed? So we got that settled. So all that will be presented to the, committee, to the board.
Yes.
So I have no new business. Anybody have any new business in returns to bylaws?
No.
I'm sure we will, but not today.
I couldn't hear you, Jan.
I said, I'm sure we will, but not today.
All right, somebody make a motion?
Well, wait, can I say, is there a way to give Trina, are you still logged in? No, she's not logged in. I was saying she could officially withdraw hers too, just to be,
Did she?
oh, yeah.
In writing?
Trina, can you, can unmute yourself and,
Who are we unmuting now?
um,
She's not unmuting herself.
Why do we not know who's even in the room? I didn't know.
Exactly. I couldn't see who was in the room either.
Hi, okay, now I'm,
Muted. Oh, she's
I don't,
there.
I don't know who's in the room.
but I'm not on the panel, so I'm not, that's why I don't show up.
now you are.
Listening to the procedure.
You're in the
I'm
room.
listening.
10D.
I will withdraw my proposal in
Okay.
favor of what's come up, what you guys have come together with.
Thank you, Trina, and thank you for
Thank you,
taking.
Trina. Thank you, Trina.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Steve. I think what Steve has,
Can I get this confirmation in writing from both parties?
Trina and Jan, we need this confirmation in writing.
I'll send you an email.
I'll send you an email as well.
Okay,
Thank you, ladies.
and that'll be forwarded to the committee.
So we
Bye.
got the wording correctly. Because
And
that's
Trina
where
and I are
we
never
went
going to
crazy.
make a resolution again.
That's right, Jen.
No, because it was
We're gonna
good.
leave it to Steve.
No, based on your resolutions, we put it together. Everybody's happy. And it says it
We're all
was just a
happy,
wording
so
thing.
I'm joking.
I'm happy with the wording
Yes, I
All right.
am. We're all happy.
because I thought it was repetitive. And now I'm happy with it.
To make a motion to adjourn, or do we have,
Someone make a motion to close the meeting.
I motion to adjourn?
Second,
All
Bye,
in favor?
everybody.
Who seconded?
Oh,
William.
yeah. Oh,
William.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Aye.
Goodbye.
Thank you,
Night,
Steve.
Good night, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
So long.
Steve.
Thank you, Steve. You saved
Hey,
the day.
welcome,
Bye.
welcome. Okay,
Steve.
good night.
Good night. Stay safe.
They didn't do nothing but reword what I was saying in the first place. Father God.